This is Batshit Crazy, a podcast dedicated to all things strange and unusual, with your spirit guides Heather and Dylan, who will take you to the other side. Subject matter featured on Batshit Crazy may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
That's right. This is Batshit Crazy. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Our third episode, Big D.
Man, we about to get crazy.
We're going to talk about Men in Black today.
Man, this is such a fascinating subject to me. On one hand, I don't know if I believe it or not. But then when you hear some of these stories, you're like, well, that was a really weird situation.
Men in Black are a group of mysterious, villainous, quasi-government agents who wear black suits and harass, threaten, and sometimes murder people. Many believe the Men in Black are related to other secret evil organizations, such as a New World Order and the Majestic 12, which is a group of wealthy elites and powerful figures who rule the world. We'll actually have a future episode on the Majestic 12.
Oh, man, you could talk like 2 or 3 different weird stories connected to them popped up in my head when you said that name.
Their goal was to once suppress the public knowledge of alien visitation and UFO culture, but now people believe they're after anyone who might have secretive government information. The common thread in this phenomenon is that they harbor secrets.
Well, yeah, they so people will see something weird or find a strange object or, stuff like that. And then next thing you know, here's these they don't show any, they're unidentified. They're very strange, often described as mechanical or almost like someone trying to act human who's not, or speaking with strange foreign accents.
Do you think they showed up at all the various monolith sites in 2021?
I hope they didn't. Because when that happened, I was like, I know that's like a stunt. Somebody's doing this, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
The monoliths.
You know who's doing it?
Well, it was some people who ended up, they would sell you a monolith for like $35,000.
Stanley Kubrick was doing it.
They were just advertising.
Well, the movie Men in Black with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith have permeated pop culture and brought the idea to the forefront. The Men in Black typically appear in groups of 3, are bald, and some stories go as far as saying they have no eyelashes. Some of the men also wear a black fedora and drive black cars. Some say the men have glowing eyes and strange complexions. Maybe they've just been doing the math.
Yeah, and they always have they like to wear sunglasses and stuff too, right?
Even at night?
Yeah, because...
Like the Corey Hart song?
Yeah.
Dude. Around 3 p.m. on June 24th of 1947, a pilot named Kenneth Arnold was searching for an aircraft that had crashed into the side of Mount Rainier in Washington's Cascade Mountains. His search led him to something completely unexpected. The aircraft Arnold spotted was like 9 different aircraft, saucer-shaped, flying almost in a chain-like way in the sky. And they were flying from north to south.
So they're all flying together in some type of formation, it seems?
Yeah, like synchronized flying. The aircraft were at least 5 miles long. This would become the first widely reported account of a UFO sighting in the United States. No one could offer Arnold any explanation of what he'd witnessed during the flight. The military got involved trying to figure out what was going on as more reports of identified flying objects began to pop up.
Wow, and that sounds like a huge craft or ship of some type.
Later in 1947, Harold Dahl, on a conservation mission, saw a few UFOs in the sky. He was in the Puget Sound area of Washington's Maury Island, gathering logs, when a UFO, a 6-donut-shaped aircraft, hovered about 1.5 miles above where he was at. Now, the UFO crashed down about 1,500 feet into the lake. It was followed by rain, metal debris, which actually killed his dog and injured his son, Charles.
Oh my God.
Harold was able to take a few photographs of the aircraft. He later showed these pictures to his supervisor at work, a man named Fred Krisman. Now, Krisman was a skeptic, but he went to the scene at the lake to see for himself. What he saw was a strange aircraft, which convinced him that Harold Dahl was telling the truth. The following day, 2 men in black showed up and threatened Dahl, telling him to never speak of the incident again.
Well, screw that. I'm going to tell people what I saw, dude. You can't lock up my mind.
Dahl had supposedly taken some photos of the crash, which the men fogged up so they couldn't be used as proof.
Well, damn it. I wish he'd made copies.
They told him if he talked publicly about the crash, they'd kill him and his family. Dahl's story appeared in Gray Barker's 1956 book, They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers. Later, the U.S. government investigated the claims and said it was a hoax. And unfortunately, Dahl and Crisman admitted they'd made up the story.
Oh, so the entire thing was really fake?
Yes. But ever since then, there have been reports of men in black.
Yeah, and they often threaten people with consequences or even death, which is, well, how would you react if these two men in black showed up and you'd had this other strange experience and were like trying to share it with other people, trying to get people to believe you? Would you shut up or?
I would be like, fuck around and find out,
Yeah.
bitch. Come at me.
Yeah, I would make
you want to kill me?
Yeah. Well, I thought you would be like that. I would.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell him.
I would be like headbutting the fuck out of these dudes.
Make you play your hand, sir. Show me your hand.
Yeah. I'd like pull out my stashed weapons that I have all over the house. My secret stash.
Your stash of weapons is like sharp knickknacks.
Yeah, I know.
And just any object that happens to be at hand. You probably have 5 ways to kill someone with a cordless computer mouse.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let them come around. There's men in black. I got it for them.
Fuck around, find out.
This computer mouse will be shoved up their ass. They'll think twice about threatening me. Yep.
I don't think I would back. I don't think I would back down. I'm being serious.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, we would have a united front, dude.
Okay, and we're going to keep talking to our local newspaper, sir.
I'll kick the dudes in the shin, and you can I don't know, headbutt them, ram them with your giant head.
So you want me to go high and you're going low?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to plan this out ahead of time, right? In 1952, a UFO buff named Albert Bender from Bridgeport, Connecticut, created the International Flying Saucer Bureau, which published a magazine called Space Review.
I wonder what that's about.
Space Pants. This sparked interest from people internationally who were interested in flying saucers. He would correspond with letter writers about UFOs. Now, he claimed that he was visited by 3 men in black who ordered him to stop publishing information about flying saucers. Of course, there was no evidence of this encounter, and some speculated his magazine was losing money and would stop publishing soon anyway. About 10 years later, he wrote another book which he detailed that the men in black were accompanied by 3 women wearing tight white uniforms.
Oh, I bet he remembered that.
He thought the visitors might have been aliens themselves who didn't want their existence revealed. Like Arnold, Bender had also experienced firsthand a UFO in the sky back in 1945 when a squadron of Avenger aircraft disappeared after taking off from a naval air station in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 9 crew members and a Mariner flyboat are now part of the legend of the Bermuda Triangle.
Damn, a whole squadron just disappeared.
Vanished. Poof.
Wow.
Gone. 23-year-old Bender became obsessed with his story and used it as a starting point to research all things strange and unusual. Much like us, Dylan.
Yeah, I'm afraid that, and like in that one instance there you described, that people may have used the men in black in the past just as either a hoax or to get attention.
However, some in the UFO community say they do not think it was so far-fetched to imagine the government would send agents to speak with Bender. Under J. Edgar Hoover, anything outside of the ordinary was taken as a potential threat. During the height of the Cold War, when national security was a top priority, could have been very possible. For many, it makes sense that maybe a government agent of some type did in fact visit Bender and could have even told him to stop what he was doing.
Yeah, can we all agree that it sounds like J. Edgar Hoover had mental illness and was totally insane?
He just sounds like a fucking asshole.
Yeah, all the stuff that he caused a lot of harm to our citizens of our nation and to our nation, I think.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was a good dude.
No.
Men in black are often said to be alien or have alien-like mechanical mannerisms. People who openly talk about extraterrestrials and UFOs are intimidated by the men after they're interrogated. They exhibit little to no human emotion. The men in black speak in monotone voices and never reveal their true identities. Some have reported the men use identification numbers to communicate with one another instead of names. The men disappear with a mysterious ability, able to vanish from the homes of their targets.
Okay, well, let me rethink my position with the men in black. Now, if someone showed up and did all that, then maybe I would be concerned.
Not me. I'd be like, come at me, bro.
So they come in there and they're all weird and like just totally creeping you out, and then they just vanish.
They don't know how crazy I am.
You're still going to be defiant.
I'll creep them out. I will creep them out. Come on.
Okay.
I'll be like, don't fuck with me, alien. You ain't going to probe my butthole today. I don't think so. Some believe the men in black are androids or robots. Some type of human organization, like maybe the government, is using an advanced technology to dispatch these men in black to retrieve information.
Well, in the world of the weird, anything is possible.
In 1958, someone in Oklahoma wrote a letter to J. Edgar Hoover asking about the rumors that the FBI had been hostile toward flying saucer investigators, to which J. Edgar Hoover personally responded that he would send a G-man over to have a chat.
See, what a dick.
Some UFOologists say their studies have been seized and destroyed by the men in black. In 1968, Jack Robinson and his wife were harassed by men in black because of Jack's interest in UFO research. The couple stated the men would stand across the street as though they were surveilling the home, and when they'd leave their house, they would come home to find that someone had rummaged through their personal belongings. After 3 days of harassment, the couple managed to snap a photograph. So it is one of two images that are like in existence showing the men in black.
Oh, did you look at that photo?
Yeah, we'll actually post it on our Instagram page, Batshit Crazy.
What did you think about it? I haven't seen it.
Well, I mean, I could see that a person might interpret that as a men in black, but it also could just be like some weird guy standing there in the doorway looking suspicious, but he's really just waiting on his girlfriend to finish getting her haircut or something.
Oh, it's like somebody's uncle.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the most recent encounters with the men in black takes place in 2008. A hotel manager in Niagara Falls named Shane Sovar said that he was walking with a security guard when they spotted a UFO. A few weeks later, hotel staff witnessed two men in black who showed up at the hotel demanding to see the men. Sovar watched security camera footage where two men in black suits wearing fedoras did in fact enter the hotel. Apparently, the men had no hair on their heads, faces, no body hair.
Maybe they were just albino.
Skeptics have said the men could literally be anyone and discredited Sovar's story.
And that was in 2008?
Yep, probably one of the most recent reports of men in black.
Wow.
We have a couple of other reports of men in black. Air Force member Paul Miller was out hunting one day when he witnessed this bright disc land in a field near where he was hunting. Not too long after, he saw these two creatures step out of the disc. Alarmed by this alien encounter, he shot and injured one of them and then ran all the way home.
Man, maybe they just want to talk. It's just, I totally think if aliens land on Earth, it's going to be just like the day this Earth stood still. They're going to come forth out of the craft. They're going to have their big sentinel robot protecting thing. And someone's just going to shoot. They're just going to shoot because they don't understand it.
Well, that's probably very likely. I also think it could be like Mars Attacks, where they just show up and immediately are like, and start shooting at us with little ray guns.
Well, that could happen too.
Because they're like, you people are stupid. We're going to take you out.
I could see humans screwing this up.
Definitely. Most definitely. Now, the next day, Miller went back to work at the Air Force Base. Within a few minutes of arriving back at his job, the men in black approached him and they began questioning him about what he had seen, despite the fact that he hadn't told anyone what had happened.
So he hadn't told anyone at all?
Nope.
No one knew about what happened but him?
Yep.
Wow.
Now this is according to Miller.
Well, yeah, if that's real, that would be like super crazy. That'd be weird.
Miller said that the men seemed to know way too much about him for it to be any regular type of government surveillance. They also seemed to ask questions knowing how he would answer, like they could read his mind.
Wow.
After being questioned, I mean, almost to the point of like super like interrogation type of tactics, the men in black said, "We have everything on file. We think you should forget what you saw."
Again, intimidate, silence.
This encounter left him so terrified that he didn't speak of the encounter for like years after it happened. Whatever they said to him was enough that he kept his mouth shut for a very long time.
Well, they scared the shit out of him, whoever it was, if it's true account on his part.
Susan Shepard was a young girl when she and another couple of school kids saw a UFO hovering over her house, and this was in West Virginia. Though her parents didn't believe the phone calls they'd received from locals, she was like, "I know what I saw." And not too long after seeing this UFO, Susan became one of the few children to have a chat with the real Men in Black. As she was playing with other kids, she felt the presence of these two men who quickly made themselves known to her. Unlike most Men in Black, the two guys who approached Susan and her friends weren't in suits. They were in black tees and black pants. So they were just greasers?
No, it was Men in Black Casual Friday.
It's Business Casual Friday?
Yeah, they had like black Reeboks on
like
too.
Flip-flop Friday?
Yep.
Get a little air between your toes. However, this hadn't stopped them from being quite, I guess, rough or, impending when speaking to this young girl, because she said they were pretty fucking scary. According to Susan, and this is verbatim, she says, "The men exuded an uncanny energy, which I immediately sensed. They also looked differently from each other. One man appeared to be of European descent, while the other one had an East Asian appearance. The one with the Asian appearance had what looked to be dyed blonde hair that was cut very short. Neither was wearing a hat, nor did they wear a suit and tie. They simply had on a black shirt and black pants."
Well, there you go.
Now, right after her encounter, she and a friend began to experience these severe headaches, almost described like migraines, that she later would link to the men. For years after the sighting, she was experiencing all sorts of strange things like poltergeist activity. She would have these very strange sleepwalking incidences and a constant feeling of being watched. That's scary.
Well, yeah, if any of that happened to me, I would be disturbed.
So with these stories, Dylan, do you believe in Men in Black?
Well, that's a loaded question. It's tricky to answer, but I'll try to right quick. I believe in the possibility of Men in Black. I mean, it would not surprise me if our government had some
Double secret super agents?
super unnamed agents from some slush fund, black ops, congressional funded super cell of patriotic goodness.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
That sounds very juicy.
Yeah, it does. No, but it wouldn't surprise me if the government had these types of agents who acted this way because they had the full power of the government and they were kind of secretive. And but when it gets into the other end of the spectrum of the Men in Black, where they're like alien-like, and well, see, here's what confuses me is you get different reasons for the Men in Black. Some accounts are government agents who are suppressing the discovery or any information about UFOs or any strange phenomenon. Another theory is that it's actually like sometimes in some instances the Men in Black egg people on. Like in the case of David Benowitz, which could be a whole nother story, but he was intercepting some communications of the Air Force, and he decoded it. And they went so far as to build a fake base to throw him off, and they had a double agent who was acting like Benowitz's friend and all this to supposedly a disinformation campaign against the Russians and all. I mean, that's a whole nother story. But some people allege that the Men in Black visited him and told him to keep on doing what he's doing. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I guess it depends on that one story and what the Men in Black are supposedly doing.
And now I have questions. Where was this fake base allegedly built? I mean, was it like a fact that they did build a base, or was this just like they allegedly built this base just to toy with him?
Okay, I don't have the exact details, but know that he was after he decoded the transmissions, he had an area that he thought was a secret location for something, and he was investigating that very adamantly. And so they actually made this other base, and the double agent top friend suggested, kind of pushed him this way, and like, no, don't look here, look over here. And they went so far as to do roads, fake ventilation for like an underground facility, and have troops stationed there. So, I mean, why would they go through all that just to throw this one ufologist or whatever off?
So what was the point exactly?
Well, that makes logical sense that it really was a disinformation act against the Russians. So you're feeding this guy, and they were afraid that he could have compromised their communications and was maybe communicating this to the Russians. Because this was at the height of the Cold War and the Red Scare and all that. So, I mean, it seems like they would just have him assassinated or something if he really discovered something, right?
Yeah, or have him executed like the Rosenbergs or something like that.
They even went so far, his friend, to have him do flyovers of the area. And he would point out new pieces of the base that had been done and stuff like that. And he was totally convinced that now he was really onto the real secret base. But one of these flyovers, because he continued them himself when he had the funding, he saw a really strange craft that he couldn't describe as any other craft that man had made.
Now, here's another question, and of course we will have an episode specifically on like UFOs, and we'll talk about Area 51 in the future. But does it seem to you that there have been less sightings of of UFOs, crop circles, and then the whole alien abduction stories? Like they've just sort of fizzled?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that as soon as everyone gets a 4K camera in their pocket, that could be used at any moment, that all these types of things really calm down.
Well, I mean, there are still UFO sightings out there, unexplained things in the sky. I don't think that's so much ended, but we're not inundated with it. I feel like there was a period of time when that was like the big deal, the big news story.
Oh, it definitely was.
And now you never really hear about it too much unless you find a YouTube video here and there.
Well, I mean, just things.
But hardly anyone's being abducted these days. Do you think they just lost interest in us? They realized probing our butts was not that fun?
And they really didn't even get any sound information from that, right?
Besides, this lady had a Happy Meal.
So, there's this distant planet in some faraway galaxy of the sophisticated alien society who had a politician who ran on a platform of more human butt probing. Like he's for more probing. And it turns out his policies were kind of shit and it just wasted a lot of money.
Probe them. Probe them. Yeah. And he had people chanting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sense. Man. We need to maybe develop that planet in our mind and we'll describe it better later.
Okay.
Let's see, one question I have with David Benowitz. Why would the Men in Black egg him on? This is one guy just kind of grasping at straws with hardly any funding. If they are some secret government, whatever, they got all the resources and they'd have way more technology than he could have access to. Or the same thing, even more so, if it was aliens. So, what would be why would they want him to keep going unless it achieved some other goal of theirs?
Makes sense.
None of it makes sense. And at the end of this episode, we're both going to get, people are going to scream at their phone, but they were going to get the neuralizer or the deneuralizer, where we forget.
Maybe that's what happened before we started this episode, because my brain feels a little fried.
Where we forget everything that just happened on Batshit Crazy.
I had a long day. I did poli-sci homework all day, so I'm feeling a little frazzled right now.
Yeah, but we did want to finish this off so we can get our first new episodes out.
First 3 episodes.
First 3 episodes.
Very exciting stuff.
Yes, and if you join us again, we will have another story of the weird, crazy, and unnatural.
Unnatural.
Yeah, is that going to be our advertising campaign?
Strange and unnatural.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Someone's breasts?
That's going to be my new line of deodorant and feminine care products.
I was down at the
I'm sorry, I should say personal hygiene products.
The D strip club, and I saw some breasts that were strange and unnatural.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be back next week on Tuesday with another episode of Batshit Crazy.
Woohoo!